here every Kaddishi, putting up with me all of the things. Without further ado, Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So this is Safala Ekadashi, and I had been thinking about the many topics that could be covered in a lecture like this, but it is also celebrating the disappearance day of a personality named Devananda Pandit. And so I thought, what better way to celebrate Srimad Bhagavatam lectures than to speak about a person who was a great lecturer of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I know that I've spoken about Devananda Pandit before, but it's been, I think, at least 2 years since I did that. And so I thought better that we circle back around, and really we can use this Bhagavatam lecture to hear about a personality whose life and soul was preaching Bhagavatam. The wonderful thing about Devananda Pandit was that for the first half of his life, he was preaching Bhagavatam. He was an ascetic. He was living during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and from a very early age, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat speaks about the fact that he was disinterested in material world life. And sometimes we can wonder if that is all there is to our Krishna consciousness. We memorize all the verses, we say all of the right things, we have this process of Krishna consciousness. And I don't know if any of you ever feel this way, but sometimes I feel like life becomes a little bit like reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Not so much like living our own Bhagavatam story, even though there are many great devotees and great teachers and spiritual advisors on our path who have reminded us that we are, all of us, living our own Bhagavatam story. We simply have not gotten to the end of it yet, but we are, all of us, living our own Bhagavatam story. But for me, I find that life can often be like reading Bhagavatam, which means that I can get easily confused by life and also by Bhagavatam. Even just the detangling of who is speaking when and to whom and for what reason. I can often get very, very confused about what's happening, why it's happening, when it's happening. Does anybody else feel like that? There are so many stories within stories within stories that sometimes I can get lost. And life also feels a little bit like that. There are so many stories within stories about life that we're all going through, and sometimes we can get a little lost. So Devananda Pandit was speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam even from an early age. Incredible scholar, knew so much. The problem was he would speak about Srimad Bhagavatam and never mention Bhakti Yoga. Never mentioning devotional service. Never mentioning the crest jewel, the crowning ornament of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj has said that if we read Bhagavatam correctly with all of our hearts, ultimately we will see that the entire Bhagavatam is about how Bhagavan is crying for the Bhakta, how the Lord is crying for his own devotee in so many different ways, shapes, forms, stories, examples, unlimited examples. But this Devananda Pandit was not giving any importance to Bhakti Yoga. And so much so to the point that he made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incredibly angry. So angry. Devananda Pandit was praised, and he was praised by so many. So many came to learn from him. But the problem was he also praised dry austerities and renunciation in his discourses on the Bhagavatam. And he absolutely refused to glorify devotional service. At one point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Whoever recites the Bhagavatam without glorifying devotional service is an ignorant fool who knows nothing. This rascal recites the Bhagavatam and never mentions bhakti. I will go and tear up his manuscript. Just watch me." So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on the verse and says, "When those bereft of devotion forget their actual identity, they become completely indifferent to the service of the Lord." Indifferent. When they identify this indifference as the ultimate goal of life, they become a source of profound irritation to the Lord, even though he is by nature supremely merciful. Here, Lord Gaurasundar shows his irritation and informs us that this attitude of the non-devotee is not only unnecessary, but reprehensible. He also indicates that both the acts of enjoying and renouncing the fruits of material actions are improper. The devotees find great satisfaction in seeing the Lord becoming angry in this way, because it's exciting then. We now have a real story developing. So this Devananda Pandit had irritated the Lord so much that even in some cases it says that his own Paramatma was frustrated with him. And that is something incredibly difficult to accomplish. Paramatma is the most tolerant, stays with us lifetime after lifetime. My beloved Guru Maharaj, Srila Radhanath Maharaj, was often saying that our Paramatma never leaves us. Our specific Paramatma has seen us through innumerable lifetimes. Our Paramatma, from the moment that this Jiva soul has made the decision that I could have been worshipped better than Krishna, and that I needed to go seek that worship out on my own, which was a horrible decision, by the way. I do not recommend it. I think all of us who are here in this material world are understanding that we do not recommend that decision. But our Paramatma says at that point, okay, I will not let you go alone. I'll travel with you. I'll never leave you. So as tolerant as the Paramatma was, somehow Devananda Pandit had found a way to frustrate even his own Paramatma. And it was so much by his indifference to devotional service. We hear when relationships have kind of reached their end, it's not necessarily hatred or even anger that can end a good relationship, but apathy, right? This indifference. And so within our relationship with Radha Krishna, Shri Radha Murlidhar, with Krishna, when we get to the point of indifference, this apathy, it is a killer of our spiritual lives. And so we can see how dangerous this indifference becomes. And not only just that indifference, but now he's preaching this indifference as the highest goal of life. Devananda Pandit had a problem. But what to do? How do you fix a problem like that? And so Devananda Pandit continued to preach, and everybody was kind of waiting to see how this stalwart kind of impersonalist would be rectified. One day, Srivas Thakur, Srivas Acharya, Srivas Pandit, who was also none other than Narada Muni, was passing by the place where Devananda Pandit was preaching Srimad Bhagavatam. And as he heard the stories of Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Devananda Pandit, Srivas Thakur went into ecstasy. He ran to that place. Let me go hear the wonderful stories of the Bhagavatam, my Lord. Let me hear the incredible pastimes. How riveting, how exciting are the pastimes of my Lord. And so he sat in that assembly, and then he began to cry. He began to roll on the floor. And all of those who were listening got upset. He said, how can we properly listen to Srimad Bhagavatam with this madman here? How can we properly hear with this very crazy person interrupting our very scholarly discourses on the Srimad Bhagavatam? Srila Prabhupada says within Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita itself says that pure love of God is like a drop in an ocean of divine, sublime happiness. Just tasting one drop of that pure love of God makes a man go mad, and he must speak even though everybody discredits him. Look, what a crazy person. You're always speaking about this Krishna consciousness and this Srimad Bhagavatam, this love of God. All of you Srimad Bhagavatam warriors who come here every day, yearning to listen to this Srimad Bhagavatam, all of you are crazy people. And yet, somehow, after tasting just one drop from this ocean of love of God, the mad person who is now addicted to Srimad Bhagavatam, they cannot give it up, and they have to speak even though nobody believes them. Which just lets us know that sometimes as we go and we tell others about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, they may not believe us. But you all know, the proof is in the fact that all of you are here. And so many of you are here every day, yearning to hear the glorious pastimes of our beloved Lord spoken from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So you all are the practical explanation and the purport of that verse. So thank you for being the purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We are living commentaries. So Srivas Pandit went into ecstasy. Everybody else got angry. And the students of Devananda Pandit picked up Srivas during his ecstatic symptoms, and they kind of unceremoniously tossed him out of the assembly. Srivas, who had gone into another world experiencing the glory of Sri Krishna, finally came back to external consciousness and found himself outside of the assembly. He was a little sad at heart, wondering, how did I get here? But saying nothing, he went home. One thing we do know, though, is Srivas might not have said anything, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was incredibly angry. And so he decided to kind of divest his mercy from Devananda Pandit's life. And so he would often go to Devananda Pandit and rebuke him for his preaching. And in one famous verse in Chaitanya Bhagavatam, the Lord says, "Listen, Brahmin, if you want to be cured after consuming poison, you must ingest ambrosia through the very same mouth with which you took the poison. In this way, not only will the poison be digested, but your body will become immortal through the ambrosia's divine power." But before then, he would often rebuke this Devananda Pandit, telling him, "You are unworthy, unfit, completely. You are the antithesis of everything that is in Srimad Bhagavatam. How dare you? What do you think you are doing?" And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on with life. He went through very many different stages of life. And then he takes sannyas. And then he thinks he will go back to Bengal and he will make a whole festival of pardoning. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thinks, oh, for all of the people whoever had any problem with me, if there is any contaminating sin left in those people, I should go back and I should pardon them now. I should give my mercy freely. And so he goes back, and the place where he goes becomes known as Aparad Bhanjan, the place of pardoning all offenses, the place of forgiveness. And so even though Devananda Pandit goes to, he comes back to the town, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes back to the town where Devananda Pandit was living. So he comes to Kulia, or Koladweep, which is the place where offenses are forgiven. And a great many people come during this time. Gopal Chapala, so many different people, they come and they admit. The first thing they do with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just simply admit all of the offenses they had committed. Oh my Lord, this is my plight. Oh my Lord, I have somehow committed Vaishnava Aparadha and this is my plight. I don't know how to get free from it. And the only person who can help me is you. And in those moments where everyone has come and they have simply admitted that they've made this mistake, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful, soft-hearted, kind, compassionate. And this helped me realize the stark contrast between this pastime and a pastime with a devotee named Chota Haridas. Chota Haridas was a brahmachari, and he had kind of like a subtle offense. He had some subtle connection with a woman, and he was heavily rebuked by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so much so that he goes and he tries to gain back the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu denies Chota Haridas any access to him whatsoever. Chota Haridas becomes so dejected that he goes and he ends his life in the Ganga. And sometime after, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks the devotees, what has happened to Chota Haridas? Where is he? I don't see him. And the devotees tell Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, well, he has ended his life within the Ganga. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's response, in essence, is kind of like, well, good. This is what he deserved. And for years, I was so confused because I could not reconcile these two sides of my Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wondering, what happened to my compassionate friend and Lord? The same Lord who was willing on the order and request and begging of Sri Nityananda Prabhu was willing to forgive Jagai Madai, was no longer willing to accept Chota Haridas, and I could not understand it. But Srila Guru Govinda Maharaj, finally, I was looking and looking, and here is a good barometer. If you have something that you are confused about within bhakti, don't give up. Don't give up looking for the answer. And I wanted to give my Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the benefit of the doubt that somehow or other there had to be some reconciliation between these two forms of what I was seeing. And so it took some years for me to find the answer, but I simply had decided that I wasn't going to stop looking. And this, I feel, has helped me within my devotional service so many times in life, where I find things that are confusing, either within Shastra, within my life that are happening. What if we simply didn't give up looking? What if we simply did not say, you know what, I can't find this answer, it must not exist. There must be a reconciliation. There must be a way that I can understand my Supreme Lord in the way that I know him, who is kind and compassionate and feeling toward all of these living entities. So I kept looking, and eventually I came upon the explanation by Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, who was saying that Chota Haridas was unwilling to admit his mistake. He was unwilling to openly admit, this is my struggle, this is what I'm going through. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loves the people who are willing to simply admit that I'm having a hard time, or that I've committed this mistake, or I have made this offense, and I have no other shelter other than you. That melts the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj was saying that if Chota Haridas had simply admitted openly, this was my fault, this was my mistake, oh Mahaprabhu, I have no one else other than you, his fate would have been completely different. However, Srila Prabhupada states, I think the devotees had a question once about this scene of Chota Haridas, because Chota Haridas, because he had ended his own life, he became a ghost for some time. However, what happens when a devotee becomes a ghost? His seva, Chota Haridas had the seva to sing for the Lord. And so even in a ghostly body, he continued his seva of singing for the Lord. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would accept that seva even within that subtle body. And then the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, well, what happened to him after? He said, this is divine Leela. He went back home, back to Godhead. So what gave me so much hope was that the Lord never forgets any service that is done for him. Even if we commit a mistake, because we are going to commit those mistakes, there is absolutely nothing that we can do that will be perfect. This one lecture of mine right now, I'm doing the best that I can, but I'm sure it's riddled with so many mistakes. But all I can do is say, Lord, this is who I am. This is where I am. I will simply give what I can to the best of my ability. And so many times within Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna praises that. Our Krishna praises people doing the best that they can with whatever they have, better than trying to do somebody else's job more perfectly. Isn't it? Do your service to the best of your ability, though imperfectly, than to try and do somebody else's life perfectly. For to follow another's path is dangerous. So, this was the lesson of Chota Haridas. If he had simply admitted his fault openly, honestly, in front of the Lord, everything could have been forgiven. So now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is within Koladweep in Kulia, and he is forgiving everyone. Finally, here comes Devananda Pandit, ready to admit his faults and his mistakes. This is a great big turnaround. He went from preaching Srimad Bhagavatam almost in an atheistic way to now ready to accept his faults, coming crying before the Lord, oh my Lord, I cannot believe what I have done for so many years. I have offended you. I have torn your personality apart by preaching Bhagavatam without mentioning bhakti and devotional service. What was this change in Devananda? Devananda Pandit came into the good fortune of having a best friend. As Devananda Pandit went through his life, he became best friends with Vakreshwar Pandit. And when Vakreshwar Pandit, who is a great associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a great dancer, an incredible dancer within Kirtan. And so they become such good friends that whenever Vakreshwar Pandit would begin to dance, then Devananda Pandit would make sure that he was not disturbed. He would protect his body. He would stand around with a stick, making sure that the crowds did not impose upon him during his dancing. So now, this has changed his mindset around completely. So now we see how important association is. Our association starts to shape who we become. It can change our entire lives. It can change our spiritual lives. It can change everything about us. So now Devananda Pandit has come and he is crying. I am so sorry, my Lord. Please forgive me. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so ready and willing to forgive everything that Devananda Pandit had done previously. Not just because he had come and openly admitted his faults and mistakes with such humility of heart, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, because you became so dear to my Vakreshwar Pandit, I have to forgive you. I have to give you all good fortune. And so Devananda Pandit was transformed. And now he is celebrated amongst the Vaishnavas. Where before his own Paramatma was frustrated with him, now he is worthy of all of our respect and celebration. So this is something which is there are great lessons in there for all of us, that we are also living our own Srimad Bhagavatam stories, but we are watching the Bhagavatam stories of others. So sometimes we might think that we know someone, what their fate is, what their pitfalls are. Sometimes we are observing the service of someone else and thinking, Lord, save us all. But sometimes the story is not finished. We have to wait for that last verse and that last commentary, Because who knows, the person who is committing all of these mistakes today might be the person that we are celebrating and is worthy of our respect and Vaishnav worship tomorrow. So it just reminds me so much that we never know where someone might end up. So I want to applaud all of you for being Srimad Bhagavatam warriors, for coming day after day. Simply that effort is devotional service. Coming to the place with an eager heart to just hear, maybe even one verse, one sliver, one sentence of encouragement from Srimad Bhagavatam is devotional service. You all are so worthy of my worship, my affection, my respect, my obeisances, which is why I felt like I paused on our Vaishnav Pranam mantra, really just thinking, I feel so fortunate to somehow be in the assembly of all of you, so that maybe your friendship will rub off on me, and Gaurachandra will be merciful to me because of all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Devananda Pandit ki jai. Shri Gaurachandra Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Thank you, Acyuta Gopi Devidasi. If attending your class regularly is devotional service, so what is given class? Is it like pure devotional service, or what is it?
When I do it, I can't say. I don't know what it is, but it is definitely, it is so much devotional service because for 2 weeks, you would think that it's only one day of preparation. But usually from one Ekadashi to the next Ekadashi, every day, in the meantime, I'm wondering, but now what to do with the next one? Well, what will come up in the meantime? Well, what have I read in the meantime that I can share with somebody else? Well, then that means I have to be reading something every day to have something to share. So it becomes such a meditation every day. And I pray that our Lord continues to work my life in such a way that I can keep giving these lectures, because really it saves my life.
Cool. So it's a lifetime in preparation to the Ekadashi class. Thank you, Acyuta Gopi. Bhima Kaviraj has his hand up. This is like Srimad Bhagavatam, conversation between Bhima Maharaj and Acyuta Gopi Maharani, and we're all
Acyuta
learning from.
Gopi is my sister. I can't believe it. When people ask me, they'd ask me who I am. I say, I'm
Hold on, Bhima Prabhu, where are
Maharaj.
you?
Well, am I going in and out?
Yeah. Just stop being restless. Slow down.
Yes, I am young and restless, and bold and beautiful too.
With all the days of our lives.
As the sand, right? As the
Now and
sand falls, right? That's so funny. Yeah, so I just wanted to say, when she said my Guru Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj, I go, oh, wait a minute. That means I'm actually more than blood. I am related to Acyuta Gopi, and that makes me a very special person. And I'm just going to go around all day today, just saying I'm from that family. Um, that's what's the wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness is that we actually are all family. We get together with, I get together with Christmas time. We get together with our family, and yes, we love them and they're close and they're our blood relatives. But we actually have such a large family of devotees. I've always noticed that over the years, you never lose your friendship with a fellow devotee. You don't go away. You don't not contact them anymore because we all share on such a deep, deep level that no one else can give us this type of reception, listening, confiding, sharing, giving us new info, laughing. That's the big one, laughing. So once again, thank you very much. Chuta Gopi Prabhujini. Hare Krishna.
If I can always be known as Bhima Prabhu's little sister, then I'm all right. I'll be okay. At the end of my life, I'll be yelling about it. Nobody can do anything to me. I'm Bhima Prabhu's little sister.
I got your back.
Thank you. And I also I felt that. I was with family yesterday and was talking to them about thinking about this lecture. And I was with family, and at some point there was just a kirtan happening in the living room. We were we were telling Bhagavatam stories in a different room. My Nityananda Prabhu had gone with me to my sister's house. So everywhere I looked, somehow there was Krishna consciousness. My sister was calling out prasadam prayers before we ate anything. And I was just thinking, I feel so fortunate. This is the holiday gift. This association of devotees. This is the holiday gift that keeps on giving. And while some people might be a little upset that Ekadashi is the next day after Christmas, so you can't eat all of your leftovers today, it didn't matter to me. I was actually overjoyed. I was more happy that it came just like this. I was like, the holidays just keep going. Because for me, Ekadashi is such a holiday. Any excuse that gives us to dive deeper into our Krishna consciousness, let's run with that excuse. Let's take it. It is a day of tapasya, but this tapasya is so easily and joyfully performed. Our Krishna has made the perfect situation for all of us. And I'm so happy every time there's an Ekadashi. And then it gave me an excuse to talk about Devananda Pandit, who became, I of course, before I started giving these lectures, I didn't know anything about Devananda Pandit. And then because it came on an Ekadashi and I was speaking about Vaishnava Acharyas, I had to go and research Devananda Pandit, and now he's become such a familiar personality. Now it's like old friends.
Srila Gopi Devidasi is unstoppable. When she starts glorifying devotees, you can't stop her. Temple Room has their hand up.
Can you hear okay?
Barely.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday we couldn't hear.
It's good now. It's good now.
But now? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an amazing subject matter that the emotional responses people have in their hearts. They're devotees and they're trying to serve, and then there's some discrepancy, some shortcoming, even an offense, and how you feel about that. We're going through the deep winter here. We just passed the longest night. Every day the days get a little bit longer now, and the night gets a little bit shorter. But people have this. It's not the same as the personalities mentioned in the past time, but people go into a sadness in the deep winter, and over the course of 50 years, 3 devotees that I served with uh, left their body by their own hand, committed suicide. And it's so profound, that somebody you knew was so discouraged or confused, and usually because of neglecting sadhana, and the mind creeps in there. And just yesterday, the day before, somebody we know told us that he was thinking of taking his life. And when somebody did this before, and what did I say to them? What did I see them? When did I say? What happened between us? What could I have done? And so I was listening to his sharing, his feelings and his heart, and his deep depression in the dark winter. And I was listening and listening, and I'm praying to Krishna, please, please, Krishna, what to say? I was listening and praying, and Krishna helped me remember something that somebody told me once, of all things to say to this person. Grandmother Parisha, who's a Native American medicine woman, she was talking about sadness. And she said, sadness is good. I was like, what is she talking about? Why is it? She said, this is normal. This is part of the spectrum, part of the cycle. Just like there is the evening, and then there's the night, and then there's the morning. and there's the fall, and then there's the winter, and then there's the spring. He said, we will go through times by Krishna's arrangement. He was speaking about the Great Spirit, where we're learning and growing, and something about our life, some aspect is dying. And that happens. We put stuff behind us, and there's a little like a death of something that we're used to doing, or some relationship or some activity. And we watch that pass away. And if we remember that Krishna arranges that there's a cycle, when something is like second birth, means, all right, I'm dying and I'm going to be reborn here in a different quality of consciousness and in a relationship with devotional service and Krishna. So she said that, and this is what I shared with this person who was, I said, sadness is good. Grandmother Parasha said that Lord arranges that parts of our life will disappear, but there will be a dawn. There'll be a springtime. There'll be a new page, a new door that Krishna will open for us. And we can go through this, understand that Krishna's loving hand is there, and it's not the end. Anyway, he came out of it. I saw him again the next day, and I'm telling you, understanding that Krishna's there and that devotional service is there, like you said, David Nandapani, sometimes we hear the Bhagavatam class, and not only is there no mention of devotional service, there's very little mention of Krishna. If at the end of the class you say, how wonderful is Krishna? How wonderful is Krishna? That even if someone is, Bhajate Mama Nandabhak, even if somebody's committed abominable activity and has fallen, that Krishna is so wonderful that he can rescue us. He comes to forgive. He comes to rescue. He comes to call us out of Tamasima, Jyotirgama. Don't stay in darkness. Come to the light. Bhima is about to speak. It's not good for me to talk so long. Oh, glories to Shil Prabhupada. Anyway, if you find somebody depressed, remind them.
I'd like to add one thing though over
Nima,
the
was
top
that
of
was
what.
that you? Was that you?
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
believe.
yes, that was me.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you hear me? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you can see my horse's face here. Um, just very quickly, because the thing's going to ring. There's no spiritual bypass for emotional damage, the type that and trauma that brings someone, a devotee of many years. There's many of them. There's many of them. I've known them. I've known a few myself, and it's because um, they never did the work. They never did the work, and I'm not talking about sadhana. I'm talking about the work on yourself. When you open up yourself, you get to know the self. And that's what Krishna consciousness is all about. You have to introspect. You have to take time to understand what's really driving you. Otherwise, you'll be doing external sadhana and then end up killing yourself decades down the line because you never dealt with the trauma. So I just wanted to say that very important thing. You can't just say, oh, it's the mind creeping in and that's why you want to kill yourself. That's not true. It's the heart. And until you reach your own heart and understand why you are doing sadhana, why you are doing devotional service, why you have to fall in love with Krishna rather than something in this or someone in this world, you know, why did your parents fall short? These things need to be understood, and you can't just get off with running around doing superficial sadhana in order to escape that inner pain. I wouldn't be saying this except for the fact that I've dealt with and have been dealing with a few devotees and a few friends who are spiritual in nature, but who are going through some really, really, really rough times. And they have to go inside themselves first, not outside themselves. Hare Krishna.
I also want to thank Adi Prabhu for creating a space where people can speak about these struggles. Because sometimes I feel like as you were calling it, the spiritual bypassing Bhima Prabhu becomes a part of the culture. Oh, don't think about that. Just go serve, 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 serve. There's never enough time to introspect that deeply. Just keep serving, keep going, go out again on book, go give the book to somebody else. And I commend you, Adi Prabhu, for setting up a space where it's like, wait, stop. You don't have to go out again and just keep serving mindlessly. And I think that that is the difference between preaching Srimad Bhagavatam from the place of renunciation is the highest, and preaching Bhagavatam from the place of devotional service is the highest. Because then it becomes devotional service for us to set up these spaces for one another that say, stop, let's dig deep, even though that part is scarier, where we are not just telling somebody, oh, just keep going and keep praying through it. Because I know that and not necessarily in my family, but the outside culture of devotees is often, oh, if they just chanted more rounds and did the things and all of whatever, then it would all just go away. And winter and summer seasons should not affect a sober person. And so none of this should affect such a sober person. And so then we're all just trying to mimic and fake being sober people till we can make ourselves be sober people. But really the way to become a sober person is what Arjuna was doing, which was have the freak out. The freakouts are absolutely normal. If Arjuna had not freaked out and said, Lord, I am this close to ending this whole thing, I cannot do this anymore, we would not have had the greatest treatise on friendship and love ever. And that for me is what Bhagavad Gita is. It's such a treatise on friendship and divine love.
Okay.
So my kudos to Adi Prabhu for setting up spaces where we can have these hard conversations about, some people have seasonal affective disorder. That's when the seasons go haywire. But for me, I think I have material world affective disorder. I'm being affected by the material world all the time, and it's a problem. and but everybody is having this. And when we can look to the pages of Bhagavatam and look at how many internal breakdowns, how much trauma people were dealing with. Dhruva Maharaj at 5 years old, trauma. And his way of dealing with, I'm stubbornly going to go to the forest until I fix this problem. So we can go through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and look at these heroes that will become our friends. William Prabhu, please.
Thank you, Achyuta Gopi, for saying the needful in a wonderful way, bona fide, compassionate way. Thank you. Arjuna had to freak out, and so can we. Thank you. Thank you. We just go to Krishna.
We are gonna freak out. Like it's forward.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Prabhupada used to say that we're like mountain climbers. When they have 5 people going on the mountain, they have a rope around their waist and then there's a rope between them. So if one of them starts to fall out the mountain, the other 4 will hold them up. So our relationship with devotees is very important. We share our minds in confidence. We share our struggles, our successes, remind each other of Krishna and support each other, because Maya doesn't take a day off. Devananda Pandit used to say, this devotee never know, he says, before you get up in the morning, Maya's already up, took her shower, chanted all around, and she's waiting for you. She doesn't take a coffee break. She doesn't take a day off. Here comes the kind. All glories to Prabhupada. So hang on to Krishna and the devotees.
Mercy of Krishna. I only wishes to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection of perfection. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic flame emanates, and by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, the Lord of master and devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of speak. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter. Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Afterglow. Such a wonderful class today. Acyuta Gopi. Acyuta Gopi knows what to say and when to say it, who to say it to and how to say it. That's an art. Thank you, Acyuta Gopi. Thanks everyone for being here. If you have to freak out before the Lord, just like Arjuna freaked out before Krishna. Never hesitate to reach out to the devotees. They're there. They love you more than you think. They are available. Thank you. If anyone wants to speak or share, please go ahead. Open mic. Bhima Prabhu has all the answers if you have a question. William.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to thank, let me just turn the device off. I wanted to thank Mataji for such a wonderful class. It certainly was very touching having that conversation with Adi Purusha Prabhu. And I've had conversations like this before with other devotees. Once I was on the Williamsburg Bridge and I was very, very upset with everything. And I was just, I think you've heard this before. I said, I'm done. And out of the blue, I get a call from Bhima. Bhima calls me. And I just,
Bhima loves you. He talks about you. He glorifies you. He loves you, William. Absolutely. And so do we.
so thank you so much. I love you too. And I just don't want to cry. I didn't do open mic to cry here. I just wanted to mention that, Bhima's comment about going to see a therapist about trauma is very important. So, thank you.
Thank you, William. Prabhu, we love you. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Yeah, do what you need to do. Absolutely. And don't disappear.
Love you,
We're
Will.
there. Gregory, what was that?
Said I love you, Will.
Yeah. See?
I love you.
Chai.
Thank you.
Chai. Yeah, this is love in exchange. This is what love in exchanges look like. Thank you, Prabhus and Prabhuji.
My sons were saying they normally rarely comment on any speaker or anything, but they said, how does William have his Christmas lights on all year? So he must have like a festival going on all year. So this is
Yeah.
coming from teenagers.
William is the one person festival.
Yeah.
You know how I got William? How I got William double thinking twice about what he was going to do. I said I'd kick his ass if he jumps. I was gonna kick his ass so bad. I said I'd follow him into the next life, and I would drag him back by his
Hare Krishna.
by his ears.
Yeah. When William is in the park helping with the food distribution, the whole thing lights up. He talks to everybody. He manages the line expertly. Thank you, William, for the wonderful service that you do, bringing joy to people's heart. I love being around William. When he comes to the temple with his pedicure, he's just so ecstatic. William, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much. Happy Ekadashi. It's Ekadashi, time to retrospect, time to slow down. It's a pit stop in our spiritual life. It's not just diet, it's a person. So let's all slow down, recalibrate, and increase our offering to Prabhupada bit by bit. Hare Krishna, we love you, we need you. We need someone who is childlike enough to finish the yajna today by saying Hare Krishna. Who's feeling childlike? How about Gregory? Gregory, why don't you say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.